Okay. Uh, just gonna go over the trade I took today. My first actual trade of the week. Um, I took a demo on like Monday, I think, that I won, but this is the first live trade I took all week. Um, and you can kind of see why. If I go to the 4 hour, this was Monday of this week, and this has been the week so far. So up until today, where I kind of caught this like distribution a little bit. We had just been consolidating the entire week. But we'll start on the daily. The weekly, it's bearish, just like the daily, obviously bearish. We tapped into a bearish fair value gap on Wednesday and reacted nicely off of it today. So I was only looking for sells today. I mean, and pretty much the past like 2 weeks. Um, you could see we also came up into a 4 hour fair value gap. I mean, it's the same fair value gap as the daily. Swept liquidity on Wednesday here, kind of consolidated a little bit more, and then dropped. I had to be very patient with my setup this morning because it took a while for it to pan out, and it was just being choppy for a while this morning, and you can see like the price action is very choppy. So we had the daily bearish fair value gap. We had the 4 hour bearish fair value gap. We had this 15-minute bearish fair value gap that we tapped into and respected and started trading lower off of. I just wanted to target the next or the previous lower low that had been made. And so I waited. There wasn't a sweep. There wasn't a sweep for and there wasn't a sweep up here for me to take a trade. And so I waited. I sat on my hands. You can argue, and I was trying to make the argument in my head this morning. I almost took this. We swept the high here, and we technically swept a little bit here, and then distributed nicely, so I could have sold from here. My issue with it was that it just wasn't that great of a sweep. Like, genuinely wasn't that great of a sweep. I didn't love it that much. And obviously the sweep on liquidity is important for me. I trade the 2022 model or a variation of it, so the sweep is important. You can see also, of course, we were respecting that 15-minute fair value gap, right? That was before I got in, and then we were respecting a 5-minute fair value gap as well here. Obviously, order flow is bearish on like every time frame as I'm getting in, so that's a good sign. So what happened was we swept liquidity here on the 1 minute as we were going into tapping into this 5-minute fair value gap that I had shown. And we swept liquidity, started to distribute lower, broke structure, right? When we closed below that low here. I ended up getting in just off of the nearest PD array that it left behind, which was this inversion fair value gap. Once this candle closed, I set a limit order for this inversion fair value gap to get tapped back into. You could see price actually kind of flew, and I was just gonna accept the loss. It was looking grim, like literally the first, or I guess the second candle after I entered. This candle tapped me in. This candle after I got tapped in just shot up, and I was like, oh, okay. We disrespected this 1 minute bearish fair value gap. We disrespected the inversion fair value gap. This inversion fair value gap did end up holding though, actually. So I guess that was ultimately what ended up getting respected, thankfully, because it was looking grim. And then we distributed lower. I liked how honestly I probably wasn't going to take this trade if these equal lows right here had been taken prior to getting my entry, but as you can see, they did not get taken prior to me getting my entry, so then we came for those equal lows. You can see that here. I didn't move my stop loss. I think around here I moved my stop loss to under this high, And then I moved my stop loss to break even when we traded here. When we closed underneath this candle is when I moved my stop to break even. When we closed, I wanted to see us hit the consequent encroachment of the wick. And then this was the final take profit that we smashed through after. That was the trade. It was a 1 to 1, or excuse me, 1 to 1.34 risk to reward. So I ended up netting $200. I just placed one contract on there because I'm risking 0.5% every trade. So that's what 0.5% allotted me, was one contract. And yeah, that was the trade. We had the sweep we needed, which was the 1 minute getting highs here, equal highs getting swept. We had higher time frame PD arrays out the wazoo. We had a daily bearish fair value gap, 4 hour, a 15-minute, right here, and of course the 5-minute right here. So yeah, and then yeah, so sweep, higher time frame PD array, nice distribution. Yeah, reasonable draw on liquidity, especially because order flow is bearish in every time frame. So there you go. I'll just quickly show, this was just proof of entry, express account. Balance is still minus 500. Had a kind of a rocky start to the account. We started in early December, and then, took a decent break for the holiday, and then we came back, and price action, I'm not going to blame price action, I'll blame myself, but it is what it is. Starting to claw back the losses here, which is nice. So yeah,